2010 to order. Brian Beam is going to do our invocation. I'm going to follow with the pledge. Please stand.
Let us pray. Heavenly Father, as we embark on a new year, this evening we come to you, thanking you for all the many blessings you shower on us each and every day. There are too many to count, but certainly our health, our families, and this great community of Calcasieu Parish we are so thankful for. As we look ahead to the new year, we ask your guidance on this elected body and all the staff in trying to carry out your will for this parish and for the will of our citizens. We are so grateful for all that we receive from you. And we ask these things in the name of Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Madam Secretary.
Yes, sir. Mr. Engerpont?
Here.
Mr. Brame?
Here.
Mr. Collins?
Here.
Mr. Farnham?
Here.
Mrs. Griffin?
Present.
Mr. Guidry?
Here.
Mr. Hassan?
Here.
Mr. Landry?
Here.
Dr. Mackey?
Present.
Is present. Mr. Scott?
Here.
Mr. Spell?
Here.
Mr. Stelly?
Here.
Mr. Sias?
Present.
Mrs. Trimmy? Is present. And
I'm here.
and President McMillan.
Here.
Everyone is present.
I'd ask if anyone in the audience has a cell phone or pager, electronic device, please put it vibrate at this time. Also, if you have any item on the agenda that you would like to speak on, fill out a blue slip in the back and bring it up here to the front, and we'll let you speak on that item on the agenda. Item 5, election of president of police jury for the ensuing year. That'll be year 2010. I need a motion for president for the police jury for year 2010.
Move to nominate Kevin Guidry.
Second.
We got a motion by Mr. Landry, a second by Ms. Griffin to nominate Kevin Guidry.
Move nomination cease.
Second.
I got a motion by Mr. Anderpont, second by Mr. Farnham. Move to nomination cease. Or Hassan. Might have been Hassan. One of y'all over there. With that being said, is there any discussion on Mr. Guidry as president? Any objection? Hearing none, that motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Kevin Guidry, new president for Calcasieu Parish Police Jury 2010.
I want to first of all thank my colleagues for having the faith and the courage in me to sit before you all today as your parish president. And I'm hoping that I can do, if not a better job than what Mr. Hal McMillan did, which he seems to be a pro at this. But I know I've got some big shoes that I've got to fill, but I'm hoping that I can do the job that you guys have asked me to do as your new parish president. And at this time, I would like to take a motion for vice president.
Mr. President, I'd like to nominate Mr. Les Farnham.
Second.
I have a nomination for Mr. Les Farnham as vice president and a second. Is there any
Move nomination
objection?
cease.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Mr. Fordham, please take your seat as the new vice president. I know that Mr. Fordham's going to do a great job in keeping me under control for this year. And at this time, we have some announcements also for the past president and the past vice president. I would ask that Mr. Fordham would go ahead and give out the vice president.
Where do we do this at?
Right here? You can call Mr. Brain up and have him say a few words, and you can, anything good that you might want to say on his behalf.
Well, I know try to do as good a job as what you've done.
That won't be hard.
The only thing I'd like to say is I've enjoyed being vice president this year. I appreciate all y'all having the confidence in me to do it. I took up a lot of heat from Hal. Where are you, Mr. Hal, Mr. President? But I kept him straight, but it was fun working with Hal. He did a great job as president. So thank y'all very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. And at this time, I would like to acknowledge our past president, Mr. Hal McMillan. Hal is a guy that has a great passion for what he does, and anybody that has the opportunity of getting to know Hal know that he's a great guy, and he really wants to see this parish grow. And we all look at him here, some of the younger ones, as our big brother. But I want to say to you, Mr. McMillan, you've done a great job, and I hope that we can walk in the footsteps of some of the things that you've done. Congratulations.
For this chair for one last time, I'm just humbled by the opportunity to serve as police jury president in 2 different years and work with this great group of elected officials here that we have as police jurors. I just want to recap some of the things that we've done as a team in the last year. It's you guys that makes things happen on this police jury and your votes, but it's been an honor to guide that over the last year. From construction projects, Burton Coliseum Complex, outdoor arena, 103,000 square foot facility that can host rodeos, annual livestock shows, and other events. We got the courthouse complex replacement of the seam copper beam roof up there, restored back to its original ornate components, replaced 2 large chillers at the courthouse. From economic development in the last year, this jury has progressed on design and construction of frontage roads for north and south sides of Interstate 10 near Sulphur. The route selection and preliminary engineering for the south frontage road and the project has been completed, and the construction is expected to begin in the spring. We've also made a lot of progress on the Seed Center, which will be consolidated in all economic development efforts, including the business incubator, and construction should begin on that this summer. A feasibility study has been performed by the Ripken Management and Design firm and has been completed with the parish together working with SPAR to explore opportunities for private investments and partnerships in developing a major recreation facility on property owned by SPAR. Road construction here in the parish over the last year, and Sandy loves this one, the new Pine Forest Road between LA 27 and Edgerly Road, the Red Davis McCollister Road between Gulf Highway and Highway 14 south of Lake Charles, and approximately $20.3 million in road construction took place and accounting for 110 road miles of resurfacing in Calcasieu Parish, newly being resurfaced. We all have and been working very hard on this, a drainage basin study. We want to make sure we always pronounce that right. I might have missed that at one point in time. It's the first drainage basin study has been completed. Many others are underway, and they will be completed in 2010. Parks. Purchase of approximately 25 acres of waterfront property in Moss Bluff near Old Highway 171, Calvin and Shannon. I know y'all are very proud of that accomplishment in Calvin's district, but in the Moss Bluff area to be used for future park development. Walking path has been lighted, a project that was completed at Preon Lake Park to provide enhanced security for the park. And then something I was very proud of was the expansion of the lighting of the Christmas lights at Preon Lake Park, which received very positive publicity from the public. I want to detail this jury. I want to tell y'all that I did get a letter from a lady just the other day bragging about our lights and how great they were at Preon Lake Park and the Christmas lights. But she had one but in there, and I want to plant this seed for next year. She said, next year, I would like to see something in there from a Christian theme, like a nativity scene or something like this. And I almost believe everybody on this jury would agree with some type of nativity scene or something like that about the birth of Jesus at Christmas time would be something maybe we could add to that park. Just a food for thought in the year 2010. Of course, the website has been redesigned. It's more interactive. We've got media tools on there for Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. We also have gotten money from the state, from federal government down to the state, for the police jury developing recovery proposal funds for utilization of CDBG funds relating to Hurricane Gustav and Ike. The state is currently reviewing the plan that we've made final approval on for $17.7 million in infrastructure projects and $6.4 million for hazardous mitigation and elevation of acquired homes. And we all know about our litter program. We've implemented enforcement activities between the Sheriff's Department and District Attorney's Office to design to target roadways and illegal littering and dumping here in the last year. The litter hotline for the citizens is something that citizens has really taken off. Also, McDonald's, the Don's Car Wash, and the Convention and Visitors Bureau, First Federal, and Pompelli's have all come on board as sponsors of these programs. I think we've had a great year in 2009. We didn't have a hurricane. We were blessed with that. And I'd also like to say before I close, Guy Brame, and be sure to pronounce it correctly, did a great job as vice president. I can tell you that a lot of times over there that I just have to be a moment away from emotion in a second. You did a fine job, and I'm very proud of you. Thank you for being my vice president, and thank you for the honor of working with y'all in 2009. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to take just a quick moment just to acknowledge my family, which is my wife and my daughter, Kayla, and my two sisters that joined us this evening. Thank you guys for coming. If nothing else is said, we're going to move on to item number 8. Take appropriate action on the expiration of the term of Mr. S. Mark McMurray as ex officio parish treasurer in accordance with LSA, as with the appropriate action on authorizing of the parish administrator to certify official documents of the parish as ex officio parish secretary. I need a motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Dr. Mackey. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 8 passes. Item number 9, take appropriate action on the application of liquor and beer permits. Mr. Vickers.
Mr. President, we have 4 applications, and we recommend they all be approved.
So moved.
I have a motion by Mr. Stelly and a second by Mr. Collins. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 9 passes. Item number 10.
Move on 10.
Consideration approval of all payments on current invoices. I have a motion by Mr. Andrew Point and a second by Mr. Porter. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 10 passes. Item number 11, consideration approval of minutes of the regular meeting of the police jury dated December 3rd, 2009. I have a motion by Mr. Size and a second by Mr. Stelly. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none. Item number 11 passes. Item number 12, take appropriate action as a result of notice being previously provided to owners of the property and public hearing held on November 5th, 2009, ordering and owners to show cause as to why structure listed below should not be condemned.
Move on 12.
I have a motion by Ms.
Second.
Griffin and a second by Mr. Scott.
Move.
Is there any discussion? First, I have Mr. Robinson to discuss. Mr. Robinson, please state your name and your position here at the parish.
David Robinson. I work for the Division of Planning and Development, Code Enforcement. And we deferred action on this structure 60 days. We have re-inspected the property, and nothing has been done to the structure. So we're recommending it be condemned and removed in 30 days.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any other discussion? Mr. Landry.
Thank you, Mr. President. Is this the one that, didn't the lady come here and tell us that she isn't the one that hauled that there? Somebody else hauled it on the property?
No, sir. It's
I got it mixed up with a different. Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. Item number 12 passes. Item number 13, consideration adopting a resolution indicating no objection to the following proposal projects. Corps of Engineers.
Move on.
Excuse
all
me,
bullets.
Mr. President, did you ask in the audience if anybody had any, wanted to discuss the condemnation of 171
No, I didn't, Ms. Sandy.
Southside?
Is there anyone here today that would like to discuss item number 12 on the condemnation? 171 Southside Street, Corliss area. Is there a Miss Betty Ann Bolton present? Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to item number 13.
Move on all bullets.
We had a motion by Dr. Mackey on all bullets. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Griffin. I'll just go through the different bullets. Proposal of Chenier Creole Trail Pipeline, bullet number 1. Bullet number 13.2, proposal of Urban Investment Company, LLC. Bullet number 13.3, proposal of Community Center and Playground, District number 4 of Ward 1. Bullet number 13.4, proposal of Keith Quinnen. Bullet number 13.5, proposal of Ms. Ellender Barrett Barrelow. Is there any other discussion on these items? Is there any objection to any of these items? Hearing none, item number 13 passes. Item number 14, take appropriate action to
Move on
rescind
14.
a resolution
Second.
adopted by the police jury on
Second.
September 18th, 2008, which abandoned the south 105 feet of Georgia Road in Ward 1, which was subject to the petitioner signing a drainage easement agreement. I have a motion by Mr. Andrepont. I have a second by Mr. Brame. Is there any discussion?
Question.
There is discussion. Ms. Griffin.
Thank you, Mr. President. May I refer this to you, Mr. Vickers? Is this your area, number 14? So since the agreement was not executed by Mr. Manuel, what's going to happen?
Well, basically, we're asking you to rescind it
Okay.
because he never completed his part of it.
Okay, so there's not a chance he will come back, or it's over with now?
Well, it's been well over a year
Okay.
that we've been requesting this, and
Okay.
it just hadn't happened.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin. Any other discussion? Item number 14 passes. Item number 15, consideration adopting a ordinance amending applicable sections of the Code of Ordinance of the Parish of Calcasieu, Louisiana, to provide for a change in composition of the hearing
Move.
panel
Second.
for the Southwest Louisiana Law Center Incorporated to the Southwest Louisiana Bar Association for appeal process provided in said sections. I have a motion by Mr. Andrepont, and I have a second by Mr. Stelly. Is there any discussion? Mr. Size.
I have a question. Just what are we actually saying on this particular item? Is there anyone that can answer that?
Let me just read the agenda note to Mr. Size, just to give you a little bit more information on it. The Southwest Louisiana Law Center is currently experiencing a shortage in staffing due to a lack of funding. Mr. Allen.
You all may remember that we have these civil groups that meet, these panels that review civil penalties. And what happened was we initially had in there the public defender's office on some of these, and they called and said, well, we really have a conflict because it may be that people come to us who have been assigned a penalty. So we think we need to be off of it. At that point, I got in touch with the Louisiana Law Center, and they said they would be glad to send us a volunteer to do that. We have only had 2 meetings, and they were both out at animal control under the amendment to animal control law. But it seems that the Law Center has lost staff. I think they do not have people available. In fact, I've had some difficulty contacting someone there. So I called the Southwest Louisiana Bar Association, and they said they were most happy to provide us with a volunteer from here on out. If we have any one of these panels that meet, we simply call the lady who's the administrator, and she will have a volunteer come over here who will be a member of the Southwest Louisiana Bar Association. So we changed it in all of them to be consistent.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Is there any other discussion on that? Ms. Griffin.
Mr. Smith, so when it says to provide a change in the composition, what does that mean of the hearing
Well,
panel?
it's a 3-person
Just-
panel, each one of them.
Uh-huh.
And we're taking the Law Center person out.
Okay.
We're putting the Bar Association person in. That's a change.
So you're still going to have 3?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Griffin. This time, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 16. Was there any objection to that item? Number 15, was there any objection? Hearing none, item number 15 passes. Item number 16,
Move on 16.
consideration adopting a resolution approving amendment number 2 to the original lease between the police jury and the Department of Health and Hospital for the continued use of space by the regional laboratory. Said amendment providing for the renewal of the lease for an additional 10 years ending April 30th, 2020, and correction of the municipal address of the location. Do I have a motion?
I move.
Move that Dr. Mackey moved
Second.
on that one. Second by Mr. Scott. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none. Item number 16 passes. Item number 17, consideration adopting a resolution authorizing the Office of Juvenile Justice Service to submit a continuation grant application in the amount up to $15,000 to the Louisiana Children's Trust Fund for the Girls Initiative on Responsibility and Life Skills program that assists with child abuse prevention and responsibility incentives. I have a motion by Mr. Size and a second by Dr. Mackey. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 17 passes. Item number 18, consideration adopting a resolution approving a waterline servitude agreement between the police jury as grantee and the Lake Charles Harbor and Terminal District as grantor, which provide for the extension of the Parish waterline from Big Lake Waterworks plant along Big Lake Road. I have a motion by Mr. Brame and a second by Ms. Griffin. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 18 passes. Item number 19, consideration adopting a ordinance and/or amending existing ordinance establishing a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit on Wildflower Drive in Ward 4. I have a motion by Mr. Hassan and a second by Mr. Stelly. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 19 passes. Item number 20, consideration adopting a resolution authorizing the president of the police jury to execute necessary documents for acquisition of right-of-way
Move
from
on.
Eric Joseph
20.
and Siv
Second.
Marjorie Burnett Bourgeois on Elderly Road in Ward 4. I have a motion by Mrs. Trimmy and a second by Ms. Griffin. Any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 20 passes. Item number 21,
Move on, reappoint Ms. Fawn.
take appropriate action on the expiration of the term of Ms. Mary Fawn as a member of the Board of Control of the Calcasieu Parish Public Library System. I have a motion by Dr. Mackey and a second by Mr. Landry to reappoint. Is there any other discussion? Is there any objection? Hearing none, item number 21 passes for the reappointment. Item number 22, take appropriate action on the expiration of the term of Mr. Roy Arnett as a member of the Board of Commissioners of Ward 6, Fire Protection District Number 1.
Move to defer for 30 days.
I have a motion by Mr. McMillan to defer for 30 days. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second by Mr. Size for deferment for 30 days. Any other discussion? Any objection? Item number 22 passes. Item number 23, take appropriate action on the expiration of the term of Mr. David L. Clark as a member of the Board of Commissioners
Move to
of
reappoint
Ward
David
6,
Clark.
Fire Protection District Number 1. I have a motion by Ms. Trimmy and a second by Mr. McMillan. Is there any other discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 23 passes.
Yeah, I didn't want to.
Item number 24, take appropriate action on the expiration of the term of Mr.
Move to
A.J.
reappoint.
Holland as a member of the Board of Commissioners of Ward 2, Fire Protection District Number 1. I have a motion by Mr. Stelly and a second by Mr. Hassan. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 24 passes. Item number 25, take appropriate action on the expiration of the term of Mr. Webster
Move to
James Scott
reappoint.
Jr.
Second.
as a member of the Board of Commissioners of Ward 2, Fire Protection District Number 1. I have a motion by Mr. Stelly for the reappointment and a second by Mr. Size. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 25 passes. Item number 26, take appropriate action on the expiration of the term of Mr. Chuck Miller as a member of the Board of
Move to
Commissioners
reappoint.
of Iowa Fire Protection District Number 1. I have a motion by Mr. Stelly to reappoint. I have a second by Mr. Spell. Is there any other discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 26 passes. Item number 27, take appropriate action on the expiration of the term of Mr.
Move to
Richard
reappoint.
Dunno as a member of the Board of Commissioners of
Second.
Highway Fire Protection District Number 1 of Ward 8. I have a motion by Mr. Stelly and a second by Mr. Spell to reappoint. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 27 passes. Item number 28, take appropriate action on the expiration of the term of Mr. Jackie LeBrun as a member of the Board of Commissioners of Waterwork District Number 10 of Ward 7. I have a motion by Mr. Hassan, a second by Ms. Griffin. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 28 passes. Item number 29,
Move on 29.
consideration of accepting the Burton Memorial Coliseum Complex Phase 3 new outdoor arena project as substantially complete. At this time, I would like to recognize Mr. David Moss. Would you please come to the mic, please? Mr. David, would you please state your name and address for the record, please?
David Moss with Moss Architects, 3221 Ryan Street. The project is substantially complete. There's a few items on the punch list that the contractor has to complete. There was for some additional scope of work that was added by change order by the police jury. But everything's ready to go, and we look forward to getting set up for the livestock show. So if there's any questions, be glad to.
Do we have any questions from the jury? Yes, Ms. Trimmy.
That's really what I wanted to make sure that this is just an awesome. Mark's worked so hard on it, and the board has worked so hard at making all this happen. We had Rita, and then it's a cumulative project between Hurricane Rita and other things that fell our way from the capital outlay and all these things that the Lord put together and helped us make this happen. So what I need, I'm just wondering is, when you said, will we be ready for district?
Yes, we will.
And can you give me just an overview of what's there right now? What do we have? What are we looking at? If I go out there and look at it.
Oh, it's ready to be used for its intended purpose. There's a few things that were added late in the project, like filling in the ditch on the east side of the property, but nothing that will affect the use of the project. It's ready to go, 100%.
I mean, what kind of facilities are we looking at here? I wish you'd have brought a picture.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. The facility will seat, I think we have seating for 400 people. We have a rodeo arena. We have livestock pens for all the livestock that it's all under cover now. We have these nice big fans in the facility to keep people cooler than they normally would. The facility has a new ticket office. It has new concession stands and restrooms. It has a new judge's platform, and everything in it is brand new and ready to go, and we're excited about it. So we look forward to hosting that function, I'm sure, and other functions as well.
Thank you, David. I'm as excited as, I don't know if I'm more excited or not as Ellis, but I'll turn it over to you, Ellis. I'll just turn it over to Ellis.
Thank you, Ms. Trimmy. Go ahead, Mr. Ellis.
All right, thank you, Mr. Trimmy and Mr. President. This is more for Alan. Can we make sure that we communicate to Tommy Shields when they can begin going in there, getting their plan together on how they want the pins set up? They have 600 pins to set up for the district show. He needs a little time to plan that, as well as haul them in and get them set up. So I'd like to give him some dates so we have that definite.
If I may respond, we have, Mr. President.
Go ahead, Mr. Allen.
We have been in contact with Mr. Shields all week this week, and we are offering to assist as any assistance he needs. So I feel like everything's going to be ready. The building is open for business essentially earlier this week, and we should be fine for the shows. And just to echo from Mr. Trimmy's standpoint, as someone who rodeoed and showed in those buildings, it is way better than it ever was before.
Awesome. Thank you, Al.
Just one other thing, Mr. Moss. Any of the, if I may, Mr. President,
Go ahead. Yes.
any of the punch lists, would that interfere with, is it mostly on the out?
Mostly on the exterior,
Exterior,
and
so-
some other things that were added late in the project shouldn't impact any of the use of that during the livestock show
Very
or
good.
rodeo.
Thank you very much. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan. Thank you, Mr. David, for that.
You're welcome.
I have a motion by Mr. Brame on that item and a second by Mr. Landry. Is there any other discussion? Is there any other objection? Hearing none, item number 29 passes. Item number 30, consideration of authorizing the parish
Move on
purchasing
30.
agent to advise for bids for the
Second.
replacement of the chiller at the Central Library. I have a motion by Mr. Andrepont and a second by Mr. Brame. Is there any other discussion? Any objection? Hearing none. Item number 30 passes. Item number 31, consideration of authorizing the parish administrator to advise for bids for Calcasieu Parish Project number 2010-15, new construction of South I-10 Frontage Road. I have a motion by Mrs. Griffin and a second by Mr. Collins. Is there any other discussion? Any objection? Excuse me. Mr. Andrepont.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. McMurray, we're going to move forward pretty quick on the as far as advertising for the bids for this road.
Sir, I'm glad you asked the question because I really would like to just comment on this item if I could.
I would like for you to.
This is one of those items that it just kind of sails through an agenda, and it's just like items before it and after it. But this is an item that 10 years, 15 years, 20 years from now will be so grand in terms of the impact on the overall parish, the community, particularly around the Sulphur area, but I think parish-wide. When you start putting a frontage road along interstate, you can look around the country and see what happens with that and the impact that has on the communities around that. This is a monumental event, and to be able to just approve the advertising for it, we can go through it in motion and everybody unanimous for it. I just wanted to be able to point out, really for the public's sake, the impact of this event tonight, of the first step in this. It's really not the first step. Claude and I have been working on with the engineers on the design of this thing for a very long time and working with property owners to acquire the right-of-way and that sort of thing. But at this step, to be able to begin this process now, to actually see it through to construction, I wish I were going to be around here to walk up to the ribbon cutting when that thing opens, but a lot of you will, and I think it's going to be a great day in Calcasieu Parish when this frontage road is completed. And there's another one yet to come if we can get everything straight on the north side. And I think we're working. That's a more complex one because it involves additional property owners and some construction that'll have to be removed to make possible for the road. But this road is going to be huge.
If I could follow up, Mr. President.
Go ahead, Mr. Andrepont.
Mark, I know that there's a lot of effort been put in there and a lot more that people realize, I think, now that it's come to the front burner. There's not a day that doesn't go by that somebody doesn't ask me about the north side, and I think specifically because of where Spar is located, and it's a legitimate question to be asked. And I'm glad to hear that strides are being made. I know that the south side kind of, because that was a lot simpler than the north side, but I'm glad to hear that at least we're moving forward with that one too, and I appreciate what you've done for what it's worth. Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Andrepont. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, item number 30 passes. 31. Item number 32, consideration of authorizing the parish purchasing agent to advertise for bids
Move on
for 8
32.
commercial grade grinding pumps for use of sewer district number 11 of Ward 3. I have a motion by Mr. Spell and a second by Mr. Stelly. Is there any discussion? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 32 passes. Item number 33, consideration adopting a resolution declaring various movable assets of various parish department, districts, and agencies as determined by the Division of Finance through December 31st, 2010 as surplus property and authorizing the disposal of said items to be sold as appropriate through eGov auction. I have a motion by Mr. Landry and a second by Mr. Collins. Any discussion on that item? Any objection? Hearing none, item number 33 passes. I have an advised item on 34. Surplus adjudicated property will be offered for sale by the Director of Division of Planning and Development on January 26, 2010. Don't have to have any action on that. At this time, I would like to move number 35 to the back of our two emergency items that we have. At this time, I need a motion.
Move to suspend and adopt.
the rule.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Hassan and a second by Mr. Brame.
Move to suspend, excuse me.
Thank you. Item number 1.
We have to vote on that first, I believe.
Second. I'll second his motion to suspend.
Mr. McMillan seconded. At this time, I'll go ahead and read item number 1. Consideration of adopting a resolution to enter into a joint service agreement with the Calcasieu Parish Sheriff's Office and the City of Lake Charles, Town of Iowa, Town of Vinton, and Waterwork District number 14 of Ward 5 for participating in the Louisiana Statewide Generator Grant Program. At this time, is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak on this item?
Suspending the rules.
In suspending the rules. Is there anyone here today in the audience that would like to speak on that item?
This is just on suspending the rules.
Just on suspending the rules on this item.
Now vote on that.
There is none, so can I get a motion?
We had a motion, we just got to vote on it.
To suspend the rules. You got a motion to suspend the rules, now vote on that.
Okay, we'll vote on that then. Madam Secretary?
Just
Any opposition?
ask.
Okay, is there any objection?
There we go.
All right, hearing none. Item number 1.
No. Okay, now, I move on item number 1.
I move on item number 1.
Motion on
Second.
item 1.
I have a motion and a second. All right, at that time, we'll go to item number 2.
Nope. Ask it, vote on it.
May I make a point of order, Mr.
Yes, Mr. Antropoint.
Could we adopt some language and put it over there where the president sits? Because that is kind of a complicated situation.
Really
Go
is.
through
Thank you,
this.
Mr.
Every time
Antoine.
we have an emergency item, we got to go through this, and I think if the language was there, it would take the pressure off the president.
Well, and also in Kevin's defense, this is new. This has
Yeah.
not been
Yeah,
around.
you did
We
fine.
had to
Just
deal with
have
this
it.
in last year.
Thank you,
This-
Mr. Murray.
We no longer go through the process we did before. You've got to actually have a unanimous vote to suspend the rules to talk about something before you talk about the something.
Right.
So it is confusing, and the process, it's a good idea to just have some lingo up there that can be read, because the first motion is to simply suspend the rules on an
Right.
item, and you have to do that on each individual item. If we had 5 items, we'd have to suspend the rules 5 times.
Okay.
So each item has a motion to suspend, and then once that motion is approved to suspend the rules, then you take the item up, and a motion is made to act on the item.
Okay.
And so we'll do that. That's
It only
a
took
good
Hal
idea.
12 months to catch on, so I mean.
13.
Don't push it, Mr. Francis. All right.
I think he's just now getting it.
Actually, he was still doing it wrong at the end.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah, I have a motion and a second. We'll vote on item number 1. Is there any objection? Hearing none, we'll move item number 1. Very good. Item number 2?
Move to suspend and
Move to suspend and adopt
Second.
and discuss.
Adopt.
I have a motion.
Not adopt.
Suspend.
Suspend.
Suspend the rules.
Now, is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak on this item? Is there anyone here in the audience that would like to speak on this item? Just about putting it on the agenda. All right. We'll vote. Okay. Any objection?
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Size and a second by Mr. Stelly to adopt. All right.
You got to vote on the first one.
Yeah,
You got to vote on the suspension and get 100%.
Is there any objection to the suspension at this point? Is there any? There's none. All right, it's on the agenda. Item,
Mr. Size,
and a second by Mr. Stelly.
to suspend the rules.
To suspend the rules.
No, that's already.
Oh, to adopt.
Vote on it, adopt.
To
We're
adopt.
all confused.
Okay. Item number 2, consideration of adopting a resolution to ratify the execution of the president of the police jury of a grant application in the amount of $25,000, $365.81 to the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness for funding related to hiring an individual to coordinate. Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I know.
None?
Yeah, what action are we?
Motion carries. Mr. Sides.
Discussion.
Yeah.
What discussion?
Can I get some explanation on this?
Yes, sir. We actually, and Mr. Grimion can elaborate if what I say to you isn't enough. We had an opportunity to make a grant application, but the time period was so short there was not a meeting of the police jury before the deadline for the application. So in order not to lose an opportunity to get the money, we made the application, and this is ratifying the execution of that by your president. Every time the president signs a document, it's got to be approved by the police jury for him to do that. In this case, we didn't have a meeting in time to have you approve that in advance. So you are, in effect, ratifying Mr. McMillan's signature. If you need more specifics on the grant, Dick can address that.
Mr. Grimion, state your name and position here with the parish.
Dick Grimion, Director, Calcasieu Parish Office of Homeland Security Emergency Preparedness.
This is something we do. We just didn't have time to do it, so we're doing it now.
Yeah, this really is kind of housekeeping to try to legitimize Mr. McMillan's signature on the grant.
Okay.
Now, as far as the grant and what it's for, Dick, why don't you?
These are grants. We don't have to apply for these. We get the state, federal through the Homeland Security Department, Federal Homeland Security Department. And they have various grants that we get. Like Mark said, this is one of them, and we need to get the approvals before we can actually spend the money on it. Now, what it's for is we've discussed in some prior meetings about some changes that we're making in our communication systems. The federal government has given us some money to hire people with expertise in communications for governance, and what we've done is the person we hired is retired Chief Miller from Lake Charles Fire Department, who's a communication expert. He's written our communication plan for the parish, emergency communication plan, and he's also coordinating the Region 5, which is the 5-parish area communication plan as well. We're paying his salary through this grant.
Mr. Stelling.
This grant is a year-to-year.
Yes, sir.
You have to apply for, or it comes every year.
Yes, sir.
You just have to ratify it by a signature. So the entire salary for this individual comes out of this grant?
Yes, sir. He works essentially part-time for us.
Thank you.
Mrs. Griffin.
Yeah, it's yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think Mr. Stilley asked part of my question, but just for clarification, so does this mean that Mr. Miller will be a full-time employee
Because it wasn't
of the parish? He's part-time.
He's
Will it be
part-time.
a full-time, part-time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Griffin.
We made it.
Mr. Spell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Grimion, if for whatever reason the grant is not renewed on an annual basis, I mean, is it understood?
Chief Miller's retired. He's doing this because he likes doing it. So.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Spell. Mr. Size.
Yes, I have one more question, and it's not quite pertaining to this, but I heard the state had implemented some kind of procedure for the Homeland Security concerning the weather, the freeze item. Do we have something that transfers down on our level?
Yes, sir. We've been talking to the school board, to Red Cross, and all of the various agencies like that. Since we weren't going to get any precipitation today, like ice or anything, it really didn't call for us to do an emergency declaration. Now, we're not out of the woods yet. This is going to be this particular event is going to be a 3-day event, so it's really going to be through Sunday. But there could be burst pipes and other things that we're not anticipating. The school, Calcasieu Parish School Board has called off school for tomorrow. There was some concern for the children in 6th grade and younger because of the wind chill. Tomorrow morning down into the low teens. A few minutes exposure, maybe as little as 15 or 20 minutes exposure outside, could cause beginnings of frostbite. So they're very concerned about the small children in particular having adequate clothing and stuff, waiting on buses and the kids who have to walk to school.
Yes, sir. That's answered my question. Thank you, Mr.
Is there any other jurors that would like to discuss this issue this time?
As far as shelters go, I want to mention this also. We feel like we have the area. We've checked with all of the different places in the area, like Salvation Army, Potter's House, and normal places that people, the Lord's Refuge that people go to. All of them feel like they have adequate space right now, but that could change. And Red Cross is prepared to do something if they need to open additional spaces for people just to get in from the cold.
Thank you very much.
Is there any other discussion from the jurors? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Grimion. Any objection? Motion carried. At this time, I would like to give Mr. Hal McMillan a point of personal privilege at this time, please.
Two quick things. One, Kevin did a great job tonight. Very proud of him as our new president. Great job.
Yeah.
And secondly, you know, in 2009, we had some of the best coverage on television we could possibly have. And I can tell you how much we missed Teresa when she was gone. I think we all want to welcome Teresa Smith back.
Yes.
We love you. We all love Hector, too. What a great man he was. But welcome back to this jury.
And we love you,
Glad
Teresa.
to have you because your stories are always very correct. Thank you, Teresa.
Again, Teresa, we do thank you, and we miss you, and we all love you. Thank you, Teresa. At this point in time, number 35, consideration of going into executive session. Mr. McMurray. Mr. McMurray.
We just need to add a workers' comp case number 2009-242 to the discussion in executive session.
Okay, Mr. McMurray, I had a motion by Mr. Andrew and a second by Mr. McMillan. Motion and a second. At this time, I'd like to take a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Wait. We have motion saying any objection?
Any objection? Any discussion? Hearing none. Item carried. At this time, I'd
to
like
adjourn.
I have a motion and a second. We're now adjourned.